The Weiss Distribution Technique, or WDT for short, has quickly become one of the most popular and highly recommended methods for distributing coffee before brewing espresso. The concept is simple enough. Using a small whisk-like tool, you stir up the grounds in the portafilter basket, breaking up clumps and more evenly distributing the grounds across the entire area of the basket. John Weiss, who developed the technique way back in 2005, did it explicitly to compensate for the limitations of smaller home espresso grinders, which tended to produce clumpier, less consistent grounds than their larger commercial cousins at the time. Today, WDT is one of the most broadly recommended techniques for new home baristas using just about any setup. But is it essential for all grinders? While it can be a pretty satisfying addition to your puck prep, I'm generally of the mindset that less is more. I don't want a 15-step routine, but I also don't want to leave any extraction on the table. To get some hands-on answers, I wanted to see if WDT would make a measurable difference on any of the grinders we offer, and if so, which ones. I picked a few grinders for this test which I thought might show a variation in results based on their burr size. On the high end, I selected the Luca Atom. Its large 75mm burrs produce uniform grounds and excellent distribution on their own, so I expected it wouldn't see much benefit from WDT. For a lower mid-range grinder, I picked the Mignon Zero. It's a lovely single doser, but its 55mm burrs are small enough that they might show some benefits from WDT. Lastly, on the budget end, I picked the Fellow Opus. This grinder is super accessible, and while it impressively can grind for espresso, it's not necessarily built to be a dedicated espresso grinder, and its 40mm conical burrs might benefit significantly from a little distribution assistance. I ran a very simple test on these three grinders. I dialed each of them in for a 1-to-1 ratio recipe, hoping to maximize channeling potential. I pulled a few shots without and then a few shots with WDT, recording the shot time required to reach that ratio and noting any channeling on a simple scale of none, light, or heavy. For consistency, I used the same espresso machine and coffee for all of these tests, as well as using a puck press to ensure consistent tamping. I did my best to keep my WDT routine consistent, doing a set of 5 whisking rotations around the portafilter each time. Now that I've already pulled several dozen shots and reached terrifying levels of caffeination, let's go over the results, starting with the Luca Atom. Without WDT, the Luca Atom gave me consistent shots within about a half second of 27 seconds with no channeling. With WDT, the results were essentially identical, consistently right around 27 seconds with 0 channeling. While this isn't exactly surprising, it does at least show that adding WDT to the routine didn't hurt. The Mignon Zero behaved a bit differently. Without WDT, the Zero gave consistent shot times, but about half the shots pulled showed light channeling, producing little sprays of coffee. Further, subjectively, the espresso flowed through the basket a bit less evenly, with visible differences in flow across the bottom of the basket. Once I added WDT, these issues essentially vanished. None of the shots prepared with WDT showed any channeling, and the flow appeared to be much more even. The Fellow Opus had very similar results, with the shots without WDT showing a fair amount of channeling, and the shots with WDT presenting almost no channeling and an even-looking flow. These results aren't surprising, and they reinforce the general wisdom that WDT is more valuable for smaller grinders. This was a fairly limited test, but based on the results, my general experience, and the tests of others, it seems that in particular for grinders with 55mm burrs or smaller, you can expect to see noticeable improvements with WDT. Now, that's not to say that it's strictly necessary. While the Zero saw notable improvements, the shots it was pulling without WDT were still delicious. But if you want to make sure you're getting the most out of your coffee while using a smaller grinder, it's a no-brainer recommendation. These results also bear out the value of larger burrs pretty clearly. The Luca Atom truly saw no change in shot time or channeling, which reflects my general experience with modern grinders with 60mm burrs and up. Sometimes it can be hard to convey the value of a larger set of burrs to those new to espresso. But this test was a great reminder that top-notch grinders really can take extra steps out of your routine and ensure consistent results. There are some potential benefits to using WDT with these grinders as well, with some reporting that it increases extraction with certain coffees, but these benefits become a bit less tangible with high-end grinders. All in all, WDT definitely isn't going to hurt your coffee. It's one of the better bang-for-buck prep tools you can add to your routine. And if you just enjoy the process of making a fluffy little Zen garden in your portafilter, I see you. You're valid. I hope this test gave you a clearer idea of the value of WDT in your home espresso setup, or maybe helped you lock in on what kind of grinder you'd like to get. Either way, be sure to hit subscribe for more espresso theory and tips, and thanks for watching.